The way Marsha lived her life shows us that we don't have to conform to neat boxes or outside expectations. Her story will embolden the closeted gay college student to wear nail polish for the first time in public, the middle-aged parent to transition later in life, and the teenage girl to work up the courage to ask her same gender crush to prom. But Marsha's story will travel far beyond a queer readership. It has the power to touch everyone, because everyone suffers from the social pressure to fit in and take the normal, pre-approved path in life. Marsha didn't wait for the world to tell her she could be free. This is really good. She told the world she already was free and that they'd better catch up. Heroism is embodied when you're living your truth. How free are we going to let ourselves be? The gift of Marsha's life provides an answer to this question. And every reader will get to carry that gift with them, giving themselves permission to be their most free, unruly, fabulous selves. Again, not my words, the words of Tourmaline in her book about Marsha P. Johnson. I'm continuing to read it, as you might imagine. And ever since I opened this book, my mind has just been like flooded with insights that I believe will help you, me, all of us. And so today I want to share with you some very powerful insights that I've learned from this book, how it applies to you and your own freedom, and the freedom of the collective. So I'm going to go over kind of what's happened to me over the last 24 hours and how it can help you to be who you are and maybe learn about how, coming into your own truth, your own freedom can actually really help heal the collective. So the reason I chose that particular excerpt is I was envious of Marsha when she said, I already am free and the world better catch up. That's a freedom that I want to know because she lived during a time where she was experiencing so much discrimination and bullshit laws about how people should dress. Yet she claimed so much power. She claimed so much of herself. She called herself free. Now, of course, we need to evolve and get to a place where we are all free, safe, and resourced the way that we need to be. But in the meantime, because we can't control the world, we can't control all of the structures and all of the things that prevent us from accessing our basic human rights, how can we find that freedom? Well, I don't have all the answers, but I have one. Number one, I cannot emphasize enough the power of reading books, especially biographies, autobiographies, just any book, because I learned from the Dakota teacher, the same one who taught me as above, so below. I learned from him that we put our energy into what we make. And I've got to tell you, I can't say enough how spiritually charged this book is. It was from the second I heard about it. I genuinely believe Marsha's spirit, but even Tourmaline's living spirit was, because she's still alive, was like tugging at me. And as I read this, it's moving me so powerfully and even entering into my own dreams. So please don't underestimate the power of reading, because books are art. Of course, I believe that as an author, but authors put their energy into what they write. And what makes this book extra powerful is that Tourmaline tapped into Marsha's energy, both by researching her life, but also just connecting with her. There's a piece of Tourmaline's soul that connected with Marsha's soul, and you can read it all over the pages. And it's just very beautifully written and accessibly written, meaning you can understand what she's saying, pretty easily. So whatever the book is that's been calling to you, read it. Whatever that thing is that keeps showing up in your life, listen to it. I promise you that it will be worth it. And so Reading about Marsha P. Johnson's life, even though I've only been reading this book for 24 hours, 32-ish maybe. Um, it opened the book again to something that's to like some things I've been really thinking about with gender. Now, I could talk for 4 hours on this, but I'm gonna try to like minimize it to a few accessible concepts. And that is that gender discrimination really limits us all. Putting people in boxes limits us all. Not only is it dehumanizing and discrimination to mock, harass, and deny non-gender conforming folks or trans folks their rights. I mean, it's wrong to do that. But in all of us, I think we need to redefine gender and energies. And for someone like me, although I was born female, I identify as female, I have a very masculine energy that I was kind of taught to suppress by just culture, not by any one thing, but by these rigid definitions of culture. And lately, including last night, so I believe Marsha's spirit is working with me, bless her. Um, Last night I had a dream where I was rescuing my son and my 6-year-old son. And he was playing on a playground and got an injury on his right side, kind of near his leg. There was like a chunk of his flesh that was gouged out. And I was searching and searching and searching for medical attention. I picked him up and I carried him, and I was searching for medical attention. And I found like a school administrator and was like, where's the nurse's office? Like, because I didn't have a phone, I couldn't call 911. I was like, I need to talk to the nurse. And the administrator in the dream said, well, I think it's down that way, but, we're cutting that department anyway, like literally cutting the health office. So, you know, I mean, you can go that way, but there's not much left of it. And the dream kind of ended with me like holding my injured son who had this chunk taken out of, his side, looking, trying to figure out what to do with little to no resources, while also processing in my mind, like you're literally cutting the nurse's office, like basic healthcare. So dreams speak in symbols, right? So I had to spend some time with that. And what I learned just from my, spiritual insights and psychological dream symbols is that because this isn't the first time I've had a dream about rescuing my sons. Often in dreams, my sons are in danger and I'm protecting them from something. Now, some of this comes from me just being a natural protector and warrior, but why is it always my sons? Because I love my children equally. Why is it my sons? Well, I've come to learn through my research and meditations and conversations with my spirit guides that it's my sons that I'm rescuing because they are representative of my inner masculine child. And what I'm doing in these dreams is I am trying to rescue my own masculine nature. Because of course, when you live in a culture of just where women are controlled by our bodies being controlled, where women are controlled with messages that are sent in the media about what our sexiness should be and our worth should be, where's room for masculine energy in that? And what masculine energy is, I mean, I don't think you can define it in any one way. Sure, there's a spiritual side of like it's about taking action, the next steps. Maybe it's about dressing a certain way. I mean, there's different ways to define masculine energy, but it kind of comes down to being sort of action oriented, taking action, taking that initiative. And when you look at a lot of the stereotypically masculine traits of just being loud, taking up space, physical strength, they're often things that are repressed in those who identify as female. And I couldn't help but think about that as I was reading this book about Marsha too. All of, the discrimination was under the line of, just male impersonating female, exhibiting lewd behavior, all this kind of stuff. And I just could not help but think of just the disgusting, like moral contradictions there. Because it's like, not only is it just wrong to discriminate against somebody for how they're dressing, and again, a man who was assigned the sex of male at birth dressing like a female, like again, so actually, so what? And also Marsha was dressing like this in her own space, like in a bar. The police were the ones inserting themselves into this bar. One of the most common arguments of homophobics is, I don't want it around me. Even people who are like passively homophobic, they're like, well, I don't really care if they're gay. I just don't want it around me. What does that mean? It's so fucking stupid. And it's worse. It's like it just it's almost worse. Like what, because how does someone being gay around you actually affect you? It makes zero sense. Just makes zero fucking sense. But particularly all these laws about that Marsha faced discrimination for, for impersonating a female and whatever, it's like, well, it's also suppressing feminine energy being loud, feminine energy in general. I'm not just talking about trans females, I'm talking about just femmes, all females, like coming at someone because they're wearing bright colors and jewelry and dancing and talking in a tone that you don't, agree with. Like there's literally some, like, people were cited with citations for speaking in a feminine tone. If you look at this, not only is it discriminatory towards trans folks, but it's also discriminatory toward female energy being loud, being expressive. So it's a lot of really primitive ways of discriminating against feminine energy in general. And so to tie this all together, these dreams I'm having about rescuing my sons are symbolic of me as a protector, but it's also symbolic of me trying to rescue that inner masculine energy that I possessed that was suppressed at a young age. It's me trying to take back that masculine energy that I was told I shouldn't hold, that wasn't socially acceptable for me to hold, especially in the role of protector, because stereotypically men are the protectors, which is just total bullshit, but that's the stereotype. I've always been a protector. I've always been fierce, and a lot of that was, but I'm meant to be. Like I'm meant to be a protector. I am meant to be a guardian. And you know, a lot of that, again, just suppressed. And so these dreams, which have ramped up, since I started reading this book, even though it's only been 32 hours, it's like this dream that I had was so vivid. And the location of my son's injury in this dream, the right side, well, it was symbolic of me literally like having like a chunk being taken out of you, especially that location. It's a very predatory injury, right? Like that's kind of how it looks when an animal has, like a shark takes a bite out of something. Like it's a predatory injury when like a chunk of flesh is missing. So this dream was symbolic of my masculine nature, literally like having a chunk taken out of it, like something very extractive and predatory. This energy was removed from me at a very young age because of gender conforming stereotypes. I mean, I can even remember one time I wanted to play football with my brother and his team, and I was told I couldn't because I was a girl. Like just it extends so far. So this book about Marsha is waking this up in me. It's helping clarify some things with me about gender roles and about conforming to them. I mean, there's so many layers to this but that really just come down to discriminating against gender representation, gender identification, whether it's in a trans person, gender fluid person, or a cis straight person. It's like we all possess different energies, and discriminating against or suppressing any of it ultimately is oppressive to humanity. It's a primitive behavior to discriminate against gender. It's a limiting behavior because we are meant to represent all kinds of energies. And I would go so far as to say maybe we need to call them something different besides feminine and masculine energies, because I think that puts them into, it's too tied to stereotypical boxes. Because what I'm really trying to say is that when we incarnate, when our souls come onto this earth, we choose certain bodies and certain representation with those bodies for a reason as we grow on this earth. And we all are meant to embody different energies that can help the collective, that can help all of us evolve, grow, create a more passionate, equal, resourceful, sustainable world. We all need access to every energy that we possess. And when we suppress it based on some bullshit gender stuff, well, it kind of slowly kills us all because we're all being cut off from crucial parts of ourselves. I came here to protect. I came here to heal. I came here to defend. But by having a chunk taken out of me at a young age, well, I lost for a while some of that vitality. Now, in the dream, this injury was dull, like it was dried blood, meaning it had been there for a while. It wasn't like actively bleeding. It was this dried blood chunk of flesh missing, which tells me it's an old injury. But by me dreaming it and seeing the wound, that's part of me reclaiming it. And that's part of what I've been teaching about pain and wounds is that, hey, when you're aware of your pain, you're already into step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of healing it by bringing your awareness to the fact that there's a wound there. I mean, that awareness of the wound is actually crucial to healing it because now that I know, now that I can name it, now that I can go, hey, yeah, a chunk was taken out of me. This masculine energy that I possessed as a young kid to be a protector, to be strong, to be a leader, that was taken from me. I was bleeding out at one point, but now I see the wound and I get to decide what to do with the scar. Because scars reflect light, don't they? Scars reflect the sun. So the takeaway from that, my friends, is whatever your wounds are, just your mere awareness of them is a crucial part to healing it and a crucial part to the revolution. Remember in the last episode when I talked about how, I quoted Marsha again with, "Thank God the revolution has begun, honey." You are a lot closer than you think to healing everything. And that's a beautiful thing. And so my takeaway from these dreams is that I need to continue on this journey of reclaiming my masculine energy. And to wrap up this episode, I want to bring up actually another trans author who I actually discovered a couple of years ago. And I got to meet this person, which is really cool. They even signed their book. And I'm going to unblur my background really quick so you can actually see it. So Man o' War, written by Cory McCarthy, fantastic author. And I want to show you the little signature they gave me because I love it, right? It's cute. So books, just in general, books. I can't recommend these two enough. Like Marsha by Tourmaline, the glare is still kind of there, and Man o' War by Cory McCarthy. Both really fantastic books if you want to learn more about just gender representation. And at the end of Cory's book, they wrote about gender representation as evolution. And I really wanted to read it because it was so good. If I can't find it in the next like 10 seconds, I'm gonna just like summarize it for you. I wanted to read it from him directly, but if I can't find it, then I'm just gonna have to paraphrase it because I don't want you to wait for too long. So Okay. Well, I can't find the exact quote, but that's all right. You should read it. Basically, in Corey's book, he talks about how actually educating yourself about gender representation is an important part of actual evolution, to recognize that human beings shouldn't be put into boxes of one thing, the next thing. And as I was saying before, that really limits us. Something else that Corey talks about in their book, and Man o' War, by the way, it's a realistic fiction novel. So whereas Marsha's biography, Man o' War, and it's spelled O with an apostrophe, but I'm going to put links to these books in the notes so you can totally find them. Man o' War is realistic fiction, meaning it's a story told about people. It's fiction, but it's based on something that could really happen. It's realistic, hence the realistic part. So realistic fiction is where something can happen. It's fictional, but it could happen. So, and part of what Corey based this book on was growing up in Ohio and the fact that there was a Sea World there. And so part of the inspiration for the putting people in boxes was seeing these orca whales, right? These magnificent, evolved creatures put into a little tank for the purposes of human entertainment. All you have to do is watch Blackfish on Netflix to learn at the bare minimum that orcas are not meant to be in tanks, right? They're meant to be in the ocean. And in some ways, like, I can't help but see a connection between humanity and this orca. The orca is meant to be wild, to be strong. It can show its full strength and its full intelligence when it's in the ocean because it has the opportunity to exercise its skills there. That's its home, that's its environment. It can fully express itself there. When you put it in a tank and train it to do very minimal little tricky tricks for what? Money? Again, it all comes back to making money so people can watch. It's wrong. SeaWorld in general is just wrong. Like it never should have been a thing. But that's where we have to get away from this profit at whatever cost culture because it's limiting to everyone. The ways that we are like these orcas are if you try to put us in boxes, any kind of box, whether it's gender expression, ability, just anything, putting people in boxes limits what they're capable of and limits how they can share their energy for their own development and evolution, but also the greater collective good of sustainability and compassion and resourcefulness. Gender discrimination, homophobia hurts us all. And it's actually really primitive. It's really degenerate, to tell you the truth. It actually is just stupid. It makes no sense. Because the cops that were like inserting themselves into these bars, arresting these trans folks for dumb shit, like they put energy into that instead of actually protecting people, instead of actually looking for the criminals and predators who were harming people. And, hence the other part of my dream where like I'm talking to this administrator about healthcare and they're cutting healthcare. I'm sorry, I have to laugh so I don't cry because is that not our world? Especially in the United States, like look at how many program like it makes no sense that healthcare is based on a budget. Y'all, do we know that we need healthcare to live? Why is this a budgetary conversation when it's a basic human right? Like, I hope you all notice that our government has become conversations and like budgetary checklists rather than like, let's use our resources to protect each other and take care of each other. It's so fucking stupid. And it's not funny because people are actually dying because of it, like because they're not getting the health care they need. So that's the other part of this dream. So we've got this problem of discriminating against people for dumb shit that limits all of us and all of our gifts. And then over here, we have these people that are putting policy and budgetary conversations above actual human needs. Can we knock it off yet? Can we get the fuck over it yet? Can we get the fuck over people's gender expression and go, hey, you've got some really strong energy in this area. I think we could work with that. I think we could do this with it. Like, just let people express who they are, be who they are, and see the beauty and compassion and strength that can grow in all of us. And so, for those of you who are listening, I can't encourage you enough to read Man o' War by Cory McCarthy. It's also written to, it's written for everybody, people who need to learn more about gender expression and fluidity and development and all that, as well as folks who do identify as gender non-conforming or fluid or however it is you identify. It's written for everybody, you know, both to relate to learn from, all that kind of stuff. So it's great. Same thing with Marsha, you know, God, I hope I can meet Tourmaline someday because I really love her writing style. She really has a gift. So go read these books and see what they can awaken in you, because that's the last part of this message is when you genuinely come to learn from another human being, whether it's through the art they've created, the books they've written, who they've written those books about, or a painting or a sculpture or a documentary or whatever it is, when you come to those things with an open heart, it opens something in you. This is how we're all connected, my friends. We all have creativity and we can unlock it in each other. Look at all the insights I got from reading. You know what? I'm not even that far in this book, Marsha. I'm on page 31, okay? And all of these insights are coming from 31 pages. And to put my English teacher hat on for a second, books are not meant to be sped through. They're meant to be digested. So like read a little bit, process it, let it weave its way into your mind, heart, spirit, everything, and see what grows. Don't just rush through it to put your little checkbox on your fucking New Year's post about how many books you read. We need to stop doing that too. I've talked about that. I fucking hate it when people post on social media all the books they've read in a year and it's like 50 or 100. It's like, nope, you didn't really read it, did you? No, you probably had some of it on in the background while you're doing your little chores, or you probably, you know, sped through it or maybe skimmed one of them and counted that. That books are not meant to be a flex. Books are meant to be learned from. So give yourself, those you love, and the world the gift of digesting the art and inspiration of other people. And for fuck's sake, stop discriminating against gender expression. Imagine who we could be if people were just allowed to fully express every piece of the gender that they are, every piece of the energy that they are. Who could we be if we were actually allowed to fully manifest our gifts rather than who we're forced to be so people can make money off of us hating ourselves? We got to cut that off. And how it starts is with you. It starts with your own self-discovery again, looking at your wounds, remembering your gifts, paying attention to your dreams, reading from inspirational folks who've been through it, who know. That's how this begins. So invest in yourself, invest in the people who've really made it, who found a way to find freedom despite all of these oppressive structures. Take the time to learn from them, because when you do, it's going to spark something in you that will help heal the time we're in now. These folks are not gone. Marsha is not gone. Her spirit is very much alive, despite the tragedy of her death. We can learn from her. Her energy can be lived out in us. It can spark things that can heal our world even further. And again, if we just honor the divinity in ourselves, the divinity in other people, no matter how it's expressed, we're actually going to create a place that's sustainable and equal and safe. We all got to be safe, y'all. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Can't experience much without safety. But in the meantime, thanks for coming.